Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. Glad you could attend. Come inside today as we take a look at Django Unchained. Now, Django Unchained is brought to us by writer-director Quentin Tarantino. And we get the story of a slave who becomes a bounty hunter, and with the help of his bounty hunter teacher, mentor, friend, he goes out and looks for his wife, who was sold to a Mississippi slaver. That's the core of the story, folks. You can't really get... Now you go, well, how can you do 160 plus minutes on that? Well, it's Quentin Tarantino. So, one, you get some excellent dialogue. I mean, to enjoy a Quentin Tarantino film, you would have to see his other films, okay? He has a unique style to his script, and it's refined over the years. We've seen it in Inglourious Basterds, and you have that in here, okay? You've got some great moments where there's just dialogue, okay? And I love those moments. He manages to build tension just with dialogue and the actors he chooses to perform that dialogue, because they just put their all into it. And with a list of actors like this who lined up to be in this film, you can see why you get some great moments in the script that don't involve anything but two people sitting and talking. I mean, first you got Jamie Foxx's Django playing brilliantly. I loved his Django. I just loved his character. It's Jamie Foxx just really selling it and putting his all into this role, and I really enjoyed him. And you got Christopher Waltz, who's becoming a Tarantino Rodriguez favorite. I mean, we saw him in Inglourious Basterds, and he just seems to fit some of these roles so well that in Tarantino films. It was great to see him back on the big screen. But then you got Leonardo DiCaprio playing Calvin Candy, the Mississippi slaver. Wow, I mean, first part of his character, you see him, you think he's going to just play the old pretty southern spoiled brat, and then he takes a turn within this film, and he really just nails it, and you could tell DiCaprio just had so much fun with this role, and it's definitely a different role for him, and it's proving he just got some great acting chops. He got some slack when he first started, but he's really developed, and I really enjoyed him in this role. And then you got Samuel Jackson being Samuel Jackson. I mean, that man, he just, Quentin must write these roles specifically for Sam, because the role that Sam Jackson is as the older house servant, if you will, but more of a friend to Calvin Candy. His role was just hilarious and unexpected. Then you get Don Johnson, you got Michael Parks. Quentin Tarantino makes an appearance a la like an Alfred Hitchcock, making him show in his own movies. You got Zoe Bell in here, who you can't quite recognize because she's got a scarf over her face for most of the film, but she's in here as well. And then, of course, you've got even a short appearance by the original Django, Franco Nero. Now, the Django title also had people thrown because they're like, Django, this is not, Jamie Foxx is not a person to play the Django. Well, this isn't a remake, okay? Django actually was used in a number of Italian cowboy films and used quite extensively, that term, that character, that name, though there were only 2 official movies that were officially Django, okay, and Franco Nero played the part in both of them. So Django became more of this style nomenclature than it was an actual character in the film. So in this case, though you do have Django played by Jamie Foxx, not meant to be the same Django that we've seen in the original Django film, okay? So don't go under any impressions there. Now, yes, it is a Quentin Tarantino film, so you have excessive gore and violent gun battles in this. So over the top that it almost makes it a bit comical, and I know in today's age it make you feel a little uncomfortable going, oh dear Lord, but Tarantino's always had that in his films, a mixture of humor and violence. He can go from a humorous scene, to suddenly a very serious scene, to suddenly a very violent scene, just like that, okay? And you have to enjoy Tarantino films, I think, though, to enjoy Django Unchained. You also have to enjoy excessive violent Italian cowboy films, which were, a staple for a while, to really enjoy this film. But that's the vein he did this in, and that's what he's going for. Finally, you got a soundtrack in here that Tarantino's still carrying on that tradition of putting unusual songs in a film that may not fit the period, but it fits the scene, and it definitely adds to the overall emotion of the film. Folks, you may not agree with everything going out in the real world and certain politics of the filmmaker, but Django Unchained, to ignore the brilliant dialogue and the way he sets up these characters would be, you know, not a crime, but it just would be not fair to the film. It is done very well. It's done in the style of the Italian violent film. So if you've seen those types of films, you will enjoy this. If you haven't seen those type of films, or if you do not want to see an excessively violent film, or you just don't care for Tarantino, then this film definitely you may want to avoid. For me, I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4.5 stubs in my book. Okay, it's just a well-paced, told story. The characters and everybody does great in it, and it's just a lot of fun to escape, even though subject matters of this nature are in more tense times. So that'll about do it for us here at the Final Cut. Till next time,